Hi, so this is Rayne, and I'm coming here with a little bit of thoughts on my views regarding the constant prayer state. And, well, the reason it's so difficult for some people to master. And the problem with the constant prayer state and why it's so difficult for people to master this is because, well, they're doing it wrong. Okay? Um, you're not going to get anywhere in a constant prayer state by stating, well, the Lord's Prayer, I suppose, is a good way to start you for anyone praying. If you're going to be religiously marketed about it, then yeah, that's probably your best bet, I guess, if that's what you view. But the truth about it is, there are ancient people that lived here thousands of years ago that knew the answers to these questions that a lot of people are asking. The philosophical questions, like where is this all-knowing guru? Where is the God that created everything? Who is this person? Why can't we talk to this person directly? Why can't we get answers from this person directly? And the answer is, simply put, if you are leading your life with any anger, any animosity in your heart towards anyone else, then you're not going to get this message. You're not going to understand it, because it's going to elude you every single time, because it's not something that's easily understood, because it takes work. It takes a lot of work to understand this and to know exactly what the Essenes were talking about when they were speaking about living in three worlds at the same time. Now, we do live in three worlds at the same time. In case you people weren't aware of that, we are living in the world of thought, the world of emotion, and the world of feelings. Now, feelings and emotion are different, because emotions are what you experience as a result of feelings. Now, it's still a separate world all on its own. And, speaking to the world of thought and the world of emotion and the world of feelings, those are different aspects of every human experience and consciousness. So when you're experiencing negative emotion, then you need to embrace it. You need to learn to embrace what hurts you, because you can learn from it. Now, the reason you can learn from that is because you don't want to experience that, right? Anything that hurts you, you don't want to go through that. So the best thing to do from that point forward is to not do that yourself to anyone. Now, living in a state of constant prayer is something that a lot of Christians talk about. A lot of, religious people talk about this, living in a state of constant prayer. And it's very difficult to do when you're thinking constantly in the mindfulness of constant prayer, because you live in your realm of thought and your realm of emotion, your realm of feelings. But when you do prayer, it starts out as thought. And then if you're doing any good at it, if you're doing it properly, then you should feel it. So it's in your feelings then. It's in your thoughts and your feelings. Now, when you have emotion behind your prayers, something's very close to you and it means a lot, or you just, ran into something that's terribly, sad or super superficial to you, but it still means something, because it's a highly emotionally charged event that occurred, like the death of a loved one or something like that. I don't want to bring up too much there, but you can get this sort of emotion from any range of things that happen if you're unstable. But I'm saying, looking at things as they are, when you reach this modality of thought, that you pray and then you put your feelings into the prayer, because that's the only way you're going to get anything out of it, putting your feelings into the prayer, and then you commit those feelings to your emotions. Now, when you experience those same things throughout the day, you'll still be in that constant state of prayer, because the feelings and emotions that are along with that prayer that you thought about before become habit. Then after it becomes habit, you do it without thinking. So the thought realm is still left to your day-to-day life, and you're not an automaton running around on autopilot in constant prayer. And now it's happening in your emotions and your feelings. And the state of your subconscious being is in constant prayer. Your conscious being, the thought realm or the spirit, is in constant awareness. Now, when you can get your subconscious in constant awareness, this takes meditation, which is another form of prayer, and it has to be done properly. Now, you can't do this by simply saying, our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy will be done. However that prayer goes. I haven't said it in so long because I haven't needed to say it. The reason I say that, our Father who art in heaven, thy will be done, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, blah, 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 so on and so forth. That prayer is good for a beginner. Now, when you're starting out, as the Lord's Prayer is pretty much the only way to really reach God, when you're trying to find him in like a Cracker Jack box, essentially. God is everywhere. If you weren't aware of that, then I hate to burst your bubble, but God watches you all day, every day, and he never stops because he loves you. And this existence of God and the esoteric feeling of where God is everywhere. He is omnipresent. That means he is all over the place. Okay, you can't get away from his sight. You can't get away from his experience or his love. So stop trying. And I would like to also add to that by saying that if you're in constant prayer with the creation matrix, with the existence of the super good that is God, the creator, the lover of all creation, this person that made everything the way it is, that put you together piece by piece and knows every hair on your head and has basically counted your days from beginning to end and has never seen a moment that he doesn't care about. So what I want to say to that is that if you think for one moment that God doesn't love you, you're not doing it right. There's something you're doing wrong. And the reason I'm saying you're doing it wrong is because you're not getting the lesson he's trying to teach you with the experiences you're having. Okay? The homelessness that I experienced taught me a great deal. And I learned it quite quickly because I was paying attention. I've always been a follower of God, a student of the Father, basically. I've always been a follower. Now that I'm a leader in that sense, I want to teach all of you what I know. And the teaching only consists of three elements: your mind, your body, and your soul. Now, the reason I say the mind, body, and soul are different from thoughts, feelings, and emotions, because they're not different. They just are in the way the words, or the way in which I describe them. Your mind is your thought, your body is your feelings, and your emotion is your soul. Now, when you feel things in your soul, in the emotional part of your body, it comes from your heart. The electromagnetic waves that emanate from your body when you're in certain emotions or duress are like a beacon to everyone else to come to your aid. That's what we're supposed to do. Okay, we're supposed to listen and love our neighbors. We love ourselves, so that when we see that one of our neighbors or one of our friends are, in a moment of distress, we can come to their aid and help them, because we're a family. All of us are. Not one single, any of us are not family. Okay, every single human on this planet is family. All of us. Now, even if your DNA doesn't match this person next to you, 98% of it does. The only part of it that is different from that of your neighbor are the genetic traits and makeups that make your body, that basically build your feelings. That's a different iteration or a different example or permutation of your feelings, because your body is the avatar in which you use to interact with the world that you're in. Okay, now all of us have the same experience. All of us live in the same generally same stereotypical body. One head, two legs, two arms, one nose, two eyes, one mouth, two ears. Which means we have two ears, one mouth. We should listen twice as much as we speak. And we have a soul and a mind up here that's inside our avatar that we should think before we speak, because our brain is larger than our mouth. And our eyes, we have twice of those, two eyes, right? So we could observe twice as much as we hear. So the reason I say that is because observation is better than listening, because you can listen to so much, but if you could not see, that takes a great deal of context out of what things are. Being blind, in the Bible, the Jesus let the blind man see, that took away his blindness, was because that was a metaphor. In that regard, it was a metaphor. The reason that Jesus was so powerful is because he could help those who refused to see things that were common knowledge or obvious to the rest of us and help them see what's obvious. And the obviousness is that God loves you and you can do nothing to get away from that love because, I mean, come on, he's everywhere. He knows all. So there's not much you can do in the realm of what you experience that can make you different or seem different to God, or at least into that regard, different from what he designed you to be, because he made you to be what you are. And you're denying that and going against his construction and instruction for your life, then you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So things are going to be harder for you, but you need to bless the experience as it is, understand the experience, and move forward from it. Don't carry it with you, not in the regard where you regret ever going through that. Understand that that experience was not meant to harm you any more than it did. That the harmfulness that occurred from that experience, you can learn from it. You can learn from that experience in such a way that where you can make sure, at least in your part, from anything you do, to not impart that same feeling or the same circumstances on anyone else. So the fact that we still have injustices towards other people in this world is a very big testament to the fact that people aren't listening to God. Okay, they're not listening to their experiences. They say, well, I hate when I go to the store and I get charity shamed, at the register when I'm spent $100 inside your grocery store. Why do you have to ask me for more money? But then you go outside and there's a homeless person sitting right outside the grocery store and they have nothing to eat. What charity is helping that homeless person? I can answer you very quickly. None. Now, the reason that charity is being proposed in that manner inside the grocery store is because another millionaire who knows you're an idiot is going to take your money and put that into a private account and then buy himself a yacht with it or buy himself a Mercedes with it. Now, the reason I say this is because I know it occurs. Now, I've seen this happen at a charitable place or place that claimed to be the house of God. Okay, a charity place in Los Angeles that everyone who works there drives a very nice car. At least the people that are in power drive very nice cars. Now, $20,000 to $30,000 on a vehicle, you could laugh at that money. Okay, that's not really something. That's not really huge expenditure for LA money. Okay, but there is every level of societal existence. There examples that are all over the place that exist in Los Angeles. You can see it everywhere. There's the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich that exist in Los Angeles, at least in our country, to the paltry experiences that I've had, that I've noticed when I walked around. The pious nature of these people just it feels like static in my brain. I get so mad at these people because you would not have the money you do have had you not had a good run of luck. Okay, and that's all it is good run of luck. You could say, well, it's because of the effort and because of the college degrees this person possesses. But I happen to know a lot of people that work in, some of the jobs that I was turned down for because they have a degree in astrophysics or engineering or finance or whatever, and they work at a freaking Kinko's, okay? Or they work inside a freaking Vons or Albertsons, or they work inside one of these grocery stores, and they have a PhD, or they have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, any level of collegiate completion, and they have these degrees in something they don't do. So college doesn't work. Even the people that you look up to, especially the ones that run big companies like Tesla, Elon Musk runs that company, owns it, and also SpaceX, and he doesn't have a college degree. How did he get there? He knew how to fool people and to trick them into giving him money. Now, it's clear to me that this is a very, very, very bad thing to experience and to call this successful, because he was able to trick people out of money and out of investment, okay, for something that can't be done, for one. And he's building tunnels underground in the most active area when it comes to fault lines and earthquakes. Not smart. And he's building these tunnels in Los Angeles, of all places, building these tunnels in Los Angeles right alongside the San Andreas fault line. Are you insane? I think he is. I think he's very much insane, especially since he's afraid or deathly afraid of AI. And I hate to tell you folks, even if you're afraid of AI, it's still going to become a reality because the algorithms that control YouTube, the algorithms that control Google are AI. Okay, they're not what we would view as sentient, but they are artificially intelligent. Now, the word I use there, artificially intelligent, means exactly that. It's not real, it's artificial, and it masquerades as intelligent when it is not. It's actually the antithesis of intelligent. Okay, it is programmed algorithm, and it does independently run, but you can program an algorithm to independently run another algorithm. It's not a difficult thing to do, especially not since it's happening every freaking where. YouTube and Google and all that do have algorithms that control the trending nature of their videos, especially when they're trying to bolster one part of our community over another. Now, when I say artificial intelligence, I do mean a stupid computer, okay? A freaking computer. Now, when I talk about sentient intelligence, I do mean us. And when we're talking about mechanized or created or synthetic sentience, we're talking about a real sentient being that is created by man, that is not living, that is essentially sentient, is aware of its own existence, but knows it is not living, knows it is not a mortal engine the way we are. Now, the reason I say that we're mortal engines is because we are. Our avatar, our goyim, our golem, okay, for that matter, is a transient thing. Okay, you're only here for a little while. You want to waste all your time being stupid or doing stupid things or doing things that are not fun? No. Now, the reason that people hate their job and don't do things they should be doing is because they're afraid to take the steps it takes to do things that they should be doing. Now, I took a chance and came out to California to even work for SpaceX, to be a tube bender for their return rocket program. I wanted to work there so bad, to have a job in the engineering department without an engineering degree was almost like the awesomest thing I could ever have done. I mean, I know a good bit about it and a good bit about engineering as far as the theories go and things like that, but I don't waste my time on things that aren't beneficial for everyone. So engineering, I leave to the engineers. Okay. I was just a tube bender. I was going to take these pieces of metal, bend them in a machine into the shape they desired for the engine to function properly as fuel processes go on about their day. Now, getting away from that, the reason I wound up homeless was because I couldn't get through the door there. Okay. Now, I had communicated with them before about a job, and I talked to them briefly about it. They said they would need me to come down in a polo, whatever, business casual, come in there and talk to their human resources people and get started with work. That was, about 6 months to almost a year before I came. And I tried to keep in relative correspondence with them over that period of time. And I had at least a couple conversations with the same person that interviewed me originally a few times since that date. And then when I wound up in Los Angeles, I tried to communicate with them again. It turns out the email that I was using, that I was sending things to, had been cut off, so that they had disconnected communications with me. And when I tried to talk to someone at the building to get in to speak to these people, I couldn't get past the gate. So yeah, it's my own fault. I wound up homeless in Los Angeles along with my ex-wife. And yeah, probably not a very, very smart thing to do, but in retrospect, it was the best thing for me, because learning about all of this, the three worlds we live in, the experiences we have in this world, came from living on the street, came from walking with God every day, relying on Him for everything, for my meal, my place to sleep, which was a car, and everything else, place to take a shower, for cigarettes. I mean, I got really, really, really dark for a little bit. Okay, I was, very dark for a period of time when I didn't care about God. I was angry with Him. But when I realized that it was not Him that was doing this, it was other people, then I could understand, well, okay, God doesn't want this to occur to me. He doesn't want this to happen. He's giving people chances to help me, and they're not listening to Him. So I have to take that with a grain of salt and help myself. So I did that. I found a way to get myself into a better situation and try to help out other people along the way. And that God put me on a path for that to occur. And that's good. Now, the reason I say that the homeless situation is something we all have to deal with is because we're going to contend with it one way or another eventually. We're all going to be homeless if this money thing, if this crap with the American dollar really goes sideways. We're all going to wind up on the street, okay? Because none of us can be able to pay our bills, our rent. We're not going to be able to buy food. So it'll get humanitarian very quickly. And it won't last for maybe a day and a half, and there'll be riots, people pillaging stores, whatever, and then all of it will be over. I don't think that will occur because it only takes a few seconds for an intelligent person to understand, hey, wait a minute, well, we need to get this food out to people who need it, and we can't use money because the dollars have been turned off. So the corporation can't get paid for their groceries anyway. So rather than let them sit there and rot and waste away, why don't we go in, start taking rations out, put them in bags, and then give these rations out to people. Start rationing out the groceries. Because the number one thing that will go bad or sideways first when this happens is all the perishable items in the grocery store will start to rot. Okay, because if the power's shut off, you can't keep anything cold, you can't keep anything hot. Yeah, so it's going to go sideways real fast. And the issue with that is that all the canned goods and all the dry foods will instantly become the most precious commodity in the immediate area. So the best thing to do to get around this and to leave yourself away from this disaster is to pray every single day. Know that God will take care of you, and do listen to him. Do what he tells you to do. Don't ignore God, because that makes him angry. At least when you ignore him, just don't ignore him. It's not hard. If you see a homeless person on the street and you have a feeling in your gut to give that person $1 or to give that person a gift card for a meal, $1 won't help. Not honestly. Yeah, $1 won't help. Not at all. Okay. Give that person a gift card for $10 or something from Starbucks or Wendy's, like I do, and that will give them a hot food item, and at least a drink of their choosing. Now, the reason I say a gift card rather than buy them food is because, hey, it's respect for the person. That's their freedom of choice, and you're taking that away from them by buying them what you deem would be acceptable. Give them a gift card. Put about $10 on that gift card before you hand it to them, of course, and then they can choose their own meal. That's at least the nicest thing you can do, and that's what I do. So I wouldn't tell you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So I practice what I preach. Okay. I also stay in constant prayer with God. Yes, right now I'm still in prayer because I'm talking to you, trying to help you understand that God's mission and God's plan for you isn't a Christian one. It's not a Muslim one. It's not any religion you can throw at it, okay? Because religions were designed as a source of control and power for the elite to keep you under their foot. The reason I say that is because there's proof in the Bible that is what it was and what religion is, because Jesus was never meant to die on a cross. He was never supposed to die on a cross, okay? It wasn't his death on the cross that covered your sin. It was his expression of God's love for you that never ends. It is unconditional, that if you follow with nothing but love in your heart, you won't do any of those things that Moses carried down from Mount Sinai. You won't do any of those things that were outlawed by God through the commandments. If you live with love in your heart truly, you wouldn't dare lie, cheat, steal, murder, pillage, any of those things. You wouldn't dare do any of those things if you loved that person that's across the hall from you like you do yourself. And if you hate yourself, then I suggest understanding that God loves you, that the reason you hate yourself is because maybe you feel inadequate, or maybe you don't understand something about life that everyone else does or whatever. I used to hate myself. What I hated about myself was because I'm gay. I hated that. And I was also told by Christian religions and religiosity and the people inside the churches that I would burn in hell for being this way. And it didn't feel right to me then. It definitely isn't right. Okay, that's stupid. When you leave your body or your golem, you are not male or female. You're sexless. You're just an energetic body. You don't have a reason to have sex. Okay, there's no purpose for it. Euphoric feelings and goodness are constant in heaven. This is just blissful. There's no reason for this. So the sexualization of our people is to blind you from the reality, the truth of nature. Now, the reason I say it's blinding you from reality and the truth of nature is because, well, looking at what sex was designed for will give you an idea. Sex was designed for procreation. So they didn't have to clone you anymore. Okay. They don't have to grow you in a lab or clone your DNA. You can go forth and propagate. You can have sex with another human that's a female, of course. Being man and man's not going to produce an offspring, or woman and woman also not going to produce an offspring. If you're a man and a woman together, that can produce an offspring, can go forth and propagate your species. When there's nothing here, that's a very important task to go through. Now that there's an overpopulation of people, or seemingly overpopulated, God throws in natural things like homosexual folks that are born the way they are, whatever. The feelings or emotions that could be born with or could be learned as learned behavior after birth, whatever. And whatever you choose to put in front of that homosexuality, it is nothing but natural. And it may be morality, I guess, morality based or immoral to the Christians, but okay. Homosexuality is immoralized, but killing in the name of God is fine. When God said, "Thou shalt not kill," pretty plainly, he didn't give any other definition or explain any further than that, because there's no reason to murder someone else. There's no good reason. Not even in the name of God are you allowed to kill someone. Not even in the name of God. Okay, sacrifice was a satanic ritual. And the author of the first part of the Bible, surprise, surprise, was Satan. Okay, that was the God of the Old Testament, because he required human sacrifice for love. That is not required of God. God would never ask you to kill yourself to claim your love for him. He would never do that. Okay, he created you. He gave you life. He put you here. Why would he ask you to take anyone's life, or your own for that matter, to prove your love to him? That is insanity. Literally insanity and stupid. Okay, the animals that live along with us on this earth, we're not supposed to kill them either, but he lets that go. Okay, because we know that we need some of this for food, right? But you can take food from the ocean. Now that we've polluted 90% of the planet, it's not healthy to eat anywhere anymore. So I don't guess it really matters whether you take food from the land or from the ocean. Okay, there are necessary evils in life. There's necessary things in life that you do that are bad. Okay, like for one, killing a chicken, killing a cow, killing a pig, killing anything to eat it. It's still bad. Okay, but it's a necessary evil. You got to kill that animal to eat it to live. Protein is a very good thing, especially if you can get it from land if you live too far from sea. It's obviously a better place to get your protein from. If you can't get it from anything else like that, then peanuts are a good place to get it. Certain vegetables are a good place to get proteins from. But going out of that, getting away from the dietary end of it, I want to be specifically charged in this talk about what God's true intention was for us. Now, we were supposed to live here experientially and love everyone. We're not supposed to live here and hate ourselves or be warring over a part of the ground we don't own. Okay? None of this earth is ours individually. It belongs to all of us. So no one person can lay claim to shit. Not one person can lay claim to your backyard or your front yard, for that matter, or your fence. Okay? The only reason that there's any claim available to that is because other insane people that control things, they also think they own the land. So they hold deeds on that property, which you can never own. Example, the United Kingdom, the Queen. Very, very, very convoluted theory there, and very, very, very inbred people that are also really, really lost and extremely stupid. Okay. Now, the reason I say that the royal family has problems is because, well, just look at them. Just observe them for a moment, what their laws and regulations are. Just observe them, okay? You can say quite clearly that Who cares? Whose business is it what I do behind closed doors? Nobody's business but my own. The only person you can't hide from is God. No one else has to know. But the truth is, okay, if you have to live any portion of your life in secret, hiding any part of yourself from the rest of your family, you're lying. Okay, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to others. That is wrong. The reason I'm saying it's wrong is because you'll eventually get tired of living a lie like I did. You'll get tired of hiding yourself from other people like I did. And you'll eventually hit a wall like I did and experience homelessness like I did. Probably not, hopefully not, but there is a possibility that it could happen, okay? Murphy's Law dictates anything that can happen will. Not necessarily good or bad, but just that it can and will happen. Anything that can happen will happen. So you can't avoid the inevitable, all right? Now that we've said that and we crossed that bridge, understanding that you have the power to take any situation that you're in and change it to benefit you. Any situation. And I do mean any situation. Even if you're locked in prison, okay? What was the one thing that all prisoners should know? Okay? There were prisoners that wrote parts of the Bible, people that murdered folks. They were killers. They were cold-blooded murderers that turned into followers of Christ that lived their life, turned about, repented from their old ways, and lived their life for Christ and for God, and turned to love only. And they wrote their their testimony, their book of the Bible that you read, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are different books in the Bible, of course, but those books themselves were written by people that were in the predicament they were in because they ignored God's message. Not all of them, but some of them were written from prison. And the reason I say that is because you have nothing better to do. Why don't you do something good? Instead of sitting there in that prison cell and rotting away for whatever you did that was foolishly attempted because you got caught, first off. And secondly, you shouldn't have been doing what you were doing if it was anything bad, okay? Drugs are not bad, okay? Drugs are not bad, okay? I'm sorry. People are bad, okay? You look at what the drug can do, okay? It can't do anything by itself. It sits on the table. It doesn't do shit till you touch it. So that puts the blame from the drug to you. The fact that it's addicting is a nature that you possess, not the drug. The reason you take this drug and it's addicting to you is because of what the humans that made this drug programmed it to do when it interacts with your brain. So I've done heroin before. I didn't get addicted to it. I did cocaine. Didn't get addicted to it. I've done acid. Didn't get addicted to it. I did speed of all types. Didn't get addicted to it. Well, I did crank for a little while. Got addicted to that. Ice was harder to kick than anything else, okay? Ice was the hardest thing to kick. Aside from heroin, it was the hardest thing to kick. And I didn't do heroin long enough to get really addicted, but they say one time can get you addicted. No, it wasn't that fun, okay? It wasn't that fun. Ecstasy was more fun, all right? Now, I even did that for a little while. Didn't get addicted to that. I loved the feeling that I had, but afterwards, the extreme sadness and depression that came after coming off of ecstasy, no, I think I'll avoid that altogether. So now that I have a normal frame of mind and frame of reference after several years of cleaning myself out from all those drugs, a few decades have passed since then. So I'm clean right now as a whistle, okay? I'm not going to be going back to any of those drugs, but I can tell you from my experience, they do nothing. They do nothing compared to the power of God. Nothing. And I mean that in a literal and most honest, literal sense. Nothing in the power of God is comparable. Nothing. Not even the best drug. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can muster in your laboratory, cannot even come close to the power of God and the love that he expresses to you if you're willing to listen. And the problem that I'm running into with a lot of people in this world today is that they're ignoring him. They're ignoring God. They ignore themselves. They ignore each other. They ignore all the people on this planet. They ignore everyone. I mean, the problem with society today is the fact that we're so glued to our freaking cell phones, we forget to look up. when we're walking down the street. You might walk into someone. I have to pay attention because of all these folks around me not looking up when they're walking, let alone when they drive. And we wonder why they're moving closer and closer to autonomous vehicles. So you can spend more freaking time on your stupid cell phone. The obvious answer is you remove the human element from any part or aspect of our lives, it's going to go straight to the crapper very quickly. Okay? The destruction of those self-driving cars and those issues with robots, case in point, the robot killed itself in a pond because it's a freaking robot. Okay? Anywho, nature is screaming at me, so I'll end this video here. Talk to you guys later. Thanks again, and like and subscribe.